Welcome to Graham Kerr's Kitchen. It's really two programs in one. This is a series that appeals to your creative side. Food that is sumptuous stuff. How could that be? This is a program about people who want to eat healthy and reduce calories. Actually, it's about food with an aromatic quality that fills the nose. Oh, sure. But it's also about keeping my arteries clean by reducing fat. But it doesn't mean a thing if the food isn't rich and colorful. Maximize the flavor. Okay, but I must have healthy food that I can cook in minutes. I must minimize the risk. So welcome to Graham Kerr's Kitchen, where we get our heads together just for you. Thank you so much for spending time with me, because I'll tell you what, I've got a tremendous dish. It really came as a result of someone sending to me an idea out of one of these food preference leads. It wasn't somebody, it was Jean Ferber. You'll meet her in a second. And she sent this salsa idea, and she'd made a salsa with peppers, which tasted wonderful in my mind when I looked at this, and then she had bound it up with strained yogurt, which was close to my heart. And I just got excited about this. She said that she put it over chicken and potatoes and all kinds of things. And I thought, maybe we could make a sauce out of this one. And so the juices start running. That's the whole idea behind sending out an individual food preference list so that people could put down what they love to eat, you know. And by the way, in the book, which comes with this series, I put blank pages so that you can write down what you love to eat and get a general idea about the way you like your food, or your husband likes your food, or your wife likes food, whoever does the cooking in your home, okay? And so you get something that looks a little like this, but let me introduce you first of all to Jean Ferber. Okay, now this is Jean. Now Jean actually allowed me to tell you that she, her nationality is belly dancer. I didn't know that there was a nationality of belly dancers, but I'm sure that's good. And she's in great shape. She's married. Her husband, Alan, she just adores. They renewed their married vows after 20 years of marriage. I think that's a sensational idea. I'm going to have a go at that when I'm 40, married. And so then what you do, darling, is, if I may call you that, with such a happy marriage, we call you an F to the third power. And that means fresh food fanatic. Anyone who goes shopping 4 times a week for fresh food, I love you. I think that's fantastic. And by the way, you've had an effect upon Alan, I understand. And that is that he used to be a junk food eater. Oh, shame. But you've converted him a little bit now. And where he used to be 250 cholesterol, he's now 155. Isn't that fantastic when you get a result like that? Let's have a look at some of your favorite things, see what we put together. Here, compressed together, is your cooking style: Mexican, Italian, Spanish, the foods that you like to eat. Give me an idea. Stir-frying, baking, broiling, and steaming a lot, as you tell me later on. Roast chicken with a Thai garlic sauce. That sounds rather fun. And cilantro, you ticked and put a big heart by the side. I rather gather the fact that you like that. Chicken is high on your list. You love strawberries. I always like to know what people like in the way of fruit. Although I don't use the fruit in the dish, it's nice to know, because it gives you a general textural idea. Then peppers, broccoli, sweet potatoes as well, strained yogurt and dry mustard that you actually enjoy. Interesting kind of food that you have. Would you like to see how we put this dish together? Okay, come through, I'll show you. Well, first of all, of course, it's always a question of what the principle is behind it, or, you know, just a basic technique. And this one is it's called the yogurt bongo time. These little instruments here are strainers for yogurt. You might have heard me say strained yogurt. I thought we'd spend a little time on that now. First of all, let me show you this. If you're going to do strained yogurt, I've got a carton here somewhere. Here we go. If you're going to have strained yogurt, do look on the label where it says ingredients. Now, it's very important on this ingredient thing to look to see if gelatin has been added in any way. Don't get it if it says gelatin or starch of any kind, because it won't strain. It has to have pectin in it, and just leave it at that, otherwise you're in dead trouble. So all you do is you get, oh well, here's the simplest possible way. You get a strainer like this one, hello, a strainer like that, you get an ordinary kitchen paper, put that on the top, you know, the stick that you know, when you blot something up. I forget what it's called, absorbent paper, and put it over a bowl, put a plate on the top, stick it in the fridge, 5-6 hours, it'll strain. You have to peel it off the paper. You can do it in this little one. It's like a shuttlecock without the feathers, and that's when you get just one little tub, and you can say, well, experiment with it, see how it goes. Then when you're absolutely sure and you're going to take a whole pot like this, then you need a larger container, and this is one I use now. Now, just quick thing here, because it's a rather interesting thing. You see how little of the whey has come out of it on this one, and there's a lot of whey on the other one. Now, what's happened there? Well, this one has only just started to concentrate. Now, it's really quite concentrated already, and it's had about 5 hours. This one, on the other hand, has had a whole lot longer. Now, I wish you could see this as I could see it, and you probably can't, but there we are. That's the miracle of television. This one here, I'll just turn it round. That one is got lumps in it, lots of little lumps in it. The other one is perfectly smooth, and the lumps go. After about 12 hours, there's a most I don't know how or why it happens that way, but it does. And so, wonderful. For this reason, when you actually strain yogurt for 12 hours plus, it is so smooth without any lumps in it that you can put it into a sauce and stir it up, and there are no lumps that you can see. With this one, after about 5 hours, you stir it into a sauce and you'll see little lumps, so you'll try to get rid of them. And the more you beat it around, the more you thin it out, because normally fat holds yogurt together. In this case, there's no fat to hold it together. It's got no fat in it at all. And it breaks down, it all goes wishy-washy, and you think, why does he make such a thing about it? I don't see it. Well, there you are. Strain it for 12 hours and you'll get it. By the way, if it's a little sharp for you, just put a little pure maple syrup in. Just try a little, and you'll find it'll smooth out and be almost like sweet cream. All right? Okay, now let's see how we get this on the menu.
Today on Graham Kerr's Kitchen, breast of chicken in pepper sauce. A tender chicken breast in a 3-colored sweet pepper sauce with broccoli and sweet potatoes.
All right, Jean, here's your great idea. Let's see how it goes with the chicken. Now, here are 4 breasts of chicken. They're 6-ounce breasts of chicken. They are now, but they'll shrink. And we just put on 1/4 teaspoonful of oil, shake it all over the surface. I love this pan. You know why? You see how I've just taken 1/4 teaspoonful of oil. Now it's distributed over the entire surface because of the little waffle cut in the bottom there. Great idea. All right, so now, chicken in, skin down, skin side down. Always get the skin on the chicken. That means probably that you'll have to buy a whole chicken nowadays, because there's this mania for sort of fat-free everything, which I think is a wonderful idea, but leave the skin on the chicken, please, because otherwise it just doesn't cook up as well as it does when it's actually done this way. All right, and you know, once again, if you're going to have raw poultry lying around, or raw meat for that matter, always put it on a board and then wash it up afterwards. Get yourself cleaned up, knives, hands, whole thing. All right? Now, that's put on for about 2 minutes either side. Now, I'll put this little thing on here. It's had about a minute already. And when it's been going on that side just for a moment or two, just toss it over. And immediately you'll have that wonderful smell that chicken skin, much more than breast, ever seem to have. Just a naked breast, excuse me, just thrown into the pan like that, doesn't have the same smell that the fat that comes off the chicken does it? We're going to dispose of that in a moment. All right, so that's doing well. Now, there is going to be a sauce made for this, which is the sauce that Jean came up with, which is rather like a salsa. And so we'll start that by simply having some green onions, and those green onions are just simply cut through into, obviously, a nice... I just had my knife sharpened by pepper. Isn't it? Hey, what's that? It's a new technique that you can actually sharpen your knife with pepper. Yes, there's a guy called Pepper who did it for me. And boy, he's put such a... I'm nervous of it. It's just so sharp. And the whole rule about this sort of thing is, you know, they say, hey, never worry, just turn it over after that. Never worry about a sharp knife. You'll never cut yourself with a sharp knife. You'll only cut yourself with a blunt one. Yes, I've heard that before, but this one is tricky. This is not pepper. All right, so those are put on one side and just cook at the other. Then here we've got 3 cloves of garlic, and those are crushed in the customary way, and just down to the top. And this has got a sharp edge to it. I don't know whether that's been clear for you. It's not so sharp that you do a damage with it, but it's just sharp enough to be able to go through like that, make sure that you don't get any large, unaccustomed pieces to it. All right, now that's had about 2 minutes, hasn't it? Thank you. And so we put that down, this time skin up, and the skin we will actually detach from there in a moment. Now, you see in the bottom of the pan, I've got a certain amount of fat. That's chicken fat. Now, I want that chicken fat in the pan because I'd like to carry that into the flavor of the dish. There's hardly enough there to worry about. So we're going to put into the top there then the green onions and the garlic, right? And then start those off and running. Oh, the smell of it. This is so good because you can do it in minutes, the whole thing. Now, I'm going to pop into the top here a green, a red, and an orange pepper. It's rather like a stop signal, actually. I'll show it to you in a moment. And just, those are chopped fine. Now, Jean thought that these were chopped too fine for her. And I'm sorry, Jean, but I disagree. I mean, you know, we actually went back and I chopped him a little larger, and I don't know. I really prefer it salsa shape, you know. So these are the peppers here. That's what's so nice about springboarding. You know, you do your own thing. You give each other permission to change things. That's great. So you've got peppers like this. If you've never dissembled a pepper before, they come in all colors now. They're even blue ones or sort of purple ones. I'm sure I really like that one. What you do is you take the top off, and then you simply slice the side down like that, and then roll the knife blade around. Careful as you do this, as you're cutting towards you, and just do the handover thing, so that you've actually take off these heavy veins which are inside. They're not absolutely necessary to do that, but I think it makes a better cut. And then I always cut them from the inside, never from the outside. The outside is hard, and the knife blade can slip, so that when you cut it, you can sort of stack it one on top of the other one, and then cut it down like that. And resist the temptation to say, oh, I've got one of those, you know, whiz kid machines, and I can just go straight through that one and just throw it into a processor and, you know, go like this. And you know what you wind up with? Something like the Juice Man. I mean, it's a sort of bitter, fizzy material rather than what I've got here. This is real and classic, crisp, beautiful looking food. Now look, just look at that. It matches my tie. See? I did that deliberately. All right. Place it all around the outside, and now let's just have a look at that chicken once again. Now the chicken, whenever you skin chicken, just take it from that end, from the narrow end, shall we put it, opposite the wishbone, and just strip it back. If you try and strip it the other way, you'll find it's hard. It doesn't want to come off. But this way it comes off so easily. And that's whizzed off. Now remember, the reason for doing that is to keep the moisture in the chicken breast. So I've done that. So that flesh there is just simply, look at it. Look at my fingers. It's just messy. And then take that and lay that, the skin side down, on top of those peppers. Right? Now, put a lid on the top. Forget that. I'll do that in just a second. That lid wouldn't fit. This lid will fit. Put the lid on the top. There we are. About 5 minutes. And during that time, as a matter of fact, I'll just put that on there, just to remind me, that it should be absolutely juicy and perfect. This is sort of étouffé. It's sort of steaming in all of those wonderful juices. All right. Now, over here, sweet potatoes. 1 each, and about this size, about 1, 2, 3, well, let's see, 6 inches long. and wash those off and put those in the oven, and they can bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 40 minutes. And lift them up off the bottom of the container so they don't sort of, you know, get too hard on the bottom. And you can steam those if you want to do it a little quicker, 22 minutes, and just slice them like this. These have been going about 17 minutes now, so they're almost perfect. We're going to stack and steam those. I've got about 1/4 teaspoonful of cardamom here, ground cardamom. It's very difficult to actually shake it out of the container, so you have to put it in the palm of your hand and then applaud it. And then, well, I give people a hug first thing in the morning. I say, gosh, you smell nice, and I don't like to let them know how, really. So when that's done, then you're going to have some broccoli. Now, not only is this dish delicious, oh, dear me, nearly. It's perfectly all right. New kind of belly dancer almost. Not only is it going to be beautiful to eat, but it's going to be beautiful to look at and wonderful from a nutritional point of view, from all the great cancer-fighting ingredients. Look at this broccoli here. President Bush, I apologize. And simply pop that on the top, a little salt and pepper on the top there, just a touch. Broccoli is wonderful. It almost gets to be the #1 favored vegetable now, by the way, on the 10,000 things that we sent out. Put that on the top, and that's going to take 4 minutes. So that's going to be within 1 minute of each other, and that's all going to come down the line just together. Okay, now we used this plate, which had a little bit of the chicken juice on it when it was not quite cooked. So just to keep ourselves honest, just clean plate now, and remove the chicken just to the side of the plate, just for a moment. All right? Now, it's almost completely and perfectly cooked. I put the lid on the top of that just to be able to see how that's keeping the heat in. Right? And here now are the vegetables, almost tender, but still a bit of a crisp, sulfurish feel to them. This is a dealkalized wine, and it's a sweeter dealkalized wine. So I'm going to pop that into the top, build the heat up underneath it. This is what it looks like. You can find it in the supermarkets, and it's got a pretty label, but it is made with a sauternish kind of finish to it, so that if you want something without alcohol, that's the way to use it. Otherwise, you know, you can always please yourself whether you use alcohol or not. All right, good. Some mushrooms, 1/4 pound of little mushrooms, and these little mushrooms are very finely sliced through. And the rest of them are done, and so you just pop those in on top. And we've got the whole thing starting to bubble up together. This is hot enough so that you can, these will literally, the mushrooms will literally cook through as you look at them. Now, I mean, truly, isn't that wonderful? Those mushrooms will be cooked through perfectly. Just pull it back to the side of the stove. And now, a little bit of cornstarch, not arrowroot, and dilute that with just a touch of the wine. Keep it sweet. And this is quite sweet, the whole dish, actually. When I say quite, it's not over-alarmingly sweet if you don't like your savory things sweet. Trina doesn't like that sort of thing. Okay, and now we'll stir that in together, and in goes the heartbeat food. Bet you thought to yourself, didn't you, Jean? When's it coming? Here's the cilantro. It's got a bit wilted, but your love has not wilted, has it? So here we go with a whole bunch of cilantro. This is a wonderful herb. If you haven't tried it, ask your market. I'm boiling this, by the way, for 30 seconds so as to get the flavor of cornstarch out of it. Always, always, when you use cornstarch, give it 30 seconds boiling. Now, just top it off with the cilantro, stir it around, and immediately it's literally ready on the spot. A little bit of white pepper onto, oh man, look at the color. And then all you have to do is just slip the chicken breast back into the top once again, just to sort of stir them up. Now, here, to finish it off, where's the strained yogurt, I can hear you say? Yes. 1 or 2 pieces of ice in the dish. Now, and the reason for the ice is just to reduce the temperature a bit before you stir in the strained yogurt. Because the strained yogurt, if that goes into the dish where it is absolutely boiling hot, it will break. But this hasn't broken. See what happens now? It just shakes around the pan and you're ready to serve it. Ice cubes and all. Actually, you'd reheat that and just make sure that it's just at a nice serving temperature. And here we are ready to go. Just a hot plate out of the oven. And your guests are calling, Graham, where's this food that you promised us? Just coming, old friend. Be there in a moment. And for this, then you just take the pieces of the sweet potato like that. Then you take your broccoli like so. And all that little stuff at the bottom, don't worry about it, because this is where it becomes wonderful. Look at this. Look at that plump chicken breast. Look then at that sauce flowing over the top of it, all over the plate. Delicious. Looks wonderful. Cancer fighting, heart disease fighting, and wonderful stuff. Come and eat it. Well, now the classic that we're going to compare this to is chicken in a wine sauce, which is there. Thank you, Freud. And let's compare the numbers, shall we? 527 for that with 383 in calories. 5 grams of fat instead of 26. Really shows, doesn't it? Down to 1 in saturated fat, which is fabulous, which means that's 12% of calories and fat. So even if you're in a severe situation and really want to reduce fat, you can actually work on that. So that's 87 of cholesterol, 203 sodium, and 43. I mean, look, that is good food all the way down the line. It tastes great, looks wonderful. And I love sweet potatoes. And the chicken, let me see. Oh, look, that's just perfectly cooked with a bit of that. Sure. Fresh food. Delicious. You know that Trina, my wife Trina is at risk, and I love her to bits. And we've been married for nearly 40 years. Boy, I'll tell you, I want to have her around just like you want to have Alan around, just like you have someone at home that you love. Try this sort of thing, springboarding, and it works. Okay, how about the extra meal? Well, of course, what you've got here, you've got the whole of that carton, you've got a quarter of a cup in the sauce, and so you've got all this amount of yogurt left over. And how quickly do you have to use it? Well, do you know, I've had this in the fridge. I use it quite a lot, but I had it in the fridge for about 10 days, sitting in one of these over the top, just continually straining like that. And it's just perfect. What you've got to do is have a nice fitting lid on the top so that no other little aromas and stuff get into the thing. And it works well. All right, so, and what do you do with the whey? You throw the whey away, literally. Or you can put it in a bean dish. Makes the beans taste a bit odd, but it makes it a complete protein. And if you're into that sort of thing, fine. Okay, it's breakfast time in the Kerr household. And what happens? Well, I have in the toaster over there, I pop up an English muffin, which of course are not in England, but this one is a health nut muffin. It's got little bits of nuts in it, and just delicious. And then what I do is I take strained yogurt. That's right. This is how it can be used, apart from many other dishes, you know, in salads and sauces and everything else. I take a good tablespoonful and slather it on. By this time, my mouth is beginning to water slightly. I'm alive. I've woken up. I take some Scottish marmalade, which is made with Seville oranges that came in once on an armada, got washed into Dundee, Scotland, and the fellow bought a whole shipment of them. Then I take 2% milk and pour that out. Took a whole shipment of them, bought them, put them on sale, and nobody could eat them because they were too bitter. And he came back and said to his wife, "Oh, I've lost my fortune, and nobody's eating the oranges." And she said, "Don't fash yourself," which means don't get upset. "I'll make jam." And so she made jam, and she actually made marmalade. Tea, properly made, but the crowning glory of the day is going to be this. And I'll explain to you, man. I can hear bird music. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Oh. You see, yogurt is creamy and smooth at this stage, but it's got a little bright note in it, a little sour note. No, not too much. And the Seville orange, which is the bitter taste, is on the top. And then the sweetness of the jam is over the top of that. Sweet, sour, bitter, all together on a crispy thing with a cup of tea and the birds singing outside. And my beloved looking across the table at me, wondering whether I've gone right out of my mind. That's the way our day starts. Isn't that wonderful? Do try it, please. Thanks for being with me. God bless. Ah, romance. Jean, Alan, keep at it. Trina and I will, I assure you. Good food and lots of love. Nothing better, is there, really? Except washing up.